got a new golf bag, and I just got the call. My new irons are in. So let's take this new golf bag and put some new irons in it. Oh yeah, let's get it. There they are. The Titleist T200s. Get ourselves 4 all the way to the gap wedge. Oh, these are so pure. Let's unwrap these. I got them all practically unwrapped, but we'll do an unwrapping on this 4-iron. Everyone loves taking the wrapper off a new golf club. Look at that. Oh, these are so awesome. We got the voice caddy out. Let's get this gap test underway. So we're gonna start by hitting our 54-degree wedge, and then we'll move into the 48-degree gap wedge that comes with the T200 set and go from there. But we need a baseline with our wedge before we get into the actual new irons. And as usual, this test will be conducted with Titleist Pro V1s, our current competitive golf ball of choice. All right, baseline with our 54-degree wedge.
"82 yards."
That was a little chunky. Once more with feeling.
"87 yards."
Yeah, it's a bit closer to 90. And I like to see this around the 85-90 mark. One more.
"92 yards."
We're hitting that 54 right where I like to see it, in that 85 to 90 yard mark. Now let's see how the 48-degree wedge that came with our T200s gap with that, and we'll go from there up the set till we hit the 4-iron. Then we'll see how that gaps to our hybrid.
"110 yards."
Perfect. See what happens if I take a little off this.
"102 yards."
Okay. Liking that. Even though these are players' forgiveness irons, I can still work that wedge. I can hit it full for 110, 115 and still make a nice 100-yard pitch out of it. So that's a win right there for the T200s. The wedge that comes with it is just as workable, in my opinion, as a 48 degrees, 50 degrees specialty wedge. Now we got the pitching wedge.
"120 yards."
9-iron.
"127 yards."
8-iron. We got 127 out of the 9. I'd like to see 130 out of that, but that is not a bad effort because we literally just got this set today. So there is going to be some margin of errors.
"141 yards."
Yeah, I'd like to see 130 out of that 9-iron. We just got 141 out of an 8-iron. But so far, so good. Other than that yard or two margin of error, the set is really gapping. 7-iron.
152 yards.
Loving the gapping that I'm seeing out of the scoring side of the bag. Now let's get the long irons in the bag in. 6 iron is in hand.
160 yards.
5 iron.
175 yards.
1 more iron left to do, the 4 iron, and then once we get a baseline with the 4 iron, we're gonna hit our Hanma Perez 19-degree hybrid and see how it gaps with this 21-degree 4 iron.
$189 yards.
Only 1 yard off 190. Let's see how Goldfinger plays with the rest of the set. Not a bad out of the box test at all. A club or two came up a little shorter than I would like it to, but for out of the box, that's pretty good. So we got our grips put on, and now we're gonna take the pitching wedge and the 48-degree wedge, and we're gonna mess around here on the big putting green here at Brightwood and just see how workable the pitching wedge and the 48-degree wedge are, because that's really important to know. Can you make it with the wedges that come with the irons, or do you need more specialty wedges? We'll start off with the 48-degree wedge from here to that far pin down there, because we need enough loft to carry the high grass, but have enough rollout that it snugs up to that pin. This is the perfect type of shot. This is basically what I'd use my old 50-degree wedge for. So let's see how it behaves when I'm now using a gap wedge that's 2 degrees stronger than what it normally would be. This is the shot this type of club is meant for. It needs to get over some stuff, but it needs to run. And we flubbed one. Nothing wrong with that. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And see, you can't buy yourself a golf game no matter how nice of a set of irons you buy. Now we're gonna take the 43-degree pitching wedge from just off the fringe to that far pin right down there. This is more of a shot where you just gotta lob it that little tiny bit, but most of the shot is gonna be a run out. The classic bump and run. Baby, get in that hole. Oh, that was a good one. And we left one a little short. That one could have used some more gas. But that one right there, that's definitely a scoring chance. And that one right there, definitely still have a chance to make something out of it. So again, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, time for the tech talk, then we'll take these out on the course. The T200s are a hollow-headed, forged face player's distance iron. So while this head is hollow and cast, the face is still forged to give you that buttery feel on solid contact. As for the tungsten weights, they optimize the center of gravity, and they've gone and done this individually for each club in the set, which leads to more forgiveness. And here's a diagram of how all that comes together. They've also consulted with Tour Pros and the Vokey design division of Titleist that specializes in wedges, so they know a thing or two about grinds and turf interaction to get the grind of each sole tailored for each club so they have the best possible turf interaction. And all of that combines to make a very forgiving but sleek looking, traditionally shaped iron. Now for my personal specs, starting with the loft, the lie, and the swing weight. The loft and the lie are standard, haven't changed those. They're as is from the factory, and the clubs are rated at a D2 swing weight. For shafts, I have these loaded with the True Temper AMT S300 Tour Whites. And lastly, for grips, we have the Golf Pride Tour Wrap Standard. Now it's time to get into why I personally chose the Titleist T200s over other offerings in the same category of irons. And a lot of it is having to do with the clubs I'm moving out of for my main set, my old Bobby Jones blades. The first reason I chose the T200s is the lofts. Coming from a set of blades, I didn't want something that was too strong lofted, because on these more forgiving players' distance irons and game improvement irons, some of the lofts are just getting ridiculously strong. So I like to have something that's a little more closer to traditional lofts. Like for example, my old 9-iron was 45 degrees. My pitching wedge is 43 degrees. And my old 3-iron was 22 degrees. This 4-iron is 21 degrees. And the second reason I chose the T200s over other offerings is the very traditional shape and look to these clubs at address. As you can see, these clubs have a very similar shape to each other, despite one being a pure blade and the other being hollow-headed. And if you compare the T200 7-iron behind the ball to a blade 7-iron behind the ball, you'll notice, well, the T200 does have a thicker top line. It's not super thick, so that shouldn't bother someone going from a blade or a player's cavity to more of a player's distance iron too much. And that was the clincher for me. I get to keep the traditional look and feel of my blades while getting the forgiveness of modern technology. Sign me up. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, it's time for the on-course test of the Titleist T200s. All right, let's put this 4-iron out here. Right down the middle. Caught that a bit off the toe, but it still went straight. So we didn't hit that one quite out of the middle. In fact, it was a bit toey. but it's still in the middle of the fairway. If I did that with my old blades, we'd be in a whole mess of trouble. So the forgiveness is there, but it still has that traditional look like we discussed. We go 165 to the center of the green. Give it a nice hit with the 6-iron. Oh, keep fading. Be the club. It's on the green, folks. It just carried that bunker on the right there. Would have liked that to kick up a little bit more, but we carried the bunker. Ooh. Didn't come around. Turn. Unnecessary 3-putt. So after all that testing, here's my personal opinion on these irons. These honestly benefit everyone on both sides of the handicap spectrum. To the high to mid handicappers such as myself, you get that traditional iron shape in a more forgiving package. And for the low to scratch golfer, you get the same thing. You get forgiveness in that traditional shape and a little more distance out of your irons without turning them into complete rocket launchers. Because yeah, it's cool, I get a little bit more distance out of my 7-iron, but I still want it to behave flight-wise like a 7-iron. Like the minute I'm hitting a 7-iron like it's a long iron, like you just lost the plot for the way I want to play golf. To cap off this review, we're going to hit the pitching wedge, the 7-iron, and the 4-iron on the simulators so you can see the ball flight in real time for each category of iron: a short iron, a mid iron, and a long iron. Throwing darts with the pitching wedge. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, does that blue one? Yeah, look at that, right? That's you don't know where you're talking about.
Wow, there we go. 210 yards, 4-iron, 195 area. I got nothing more to say except New Scott out.